Salute to NBA Nation on this Monday afternoon, a matinee edition of the NBA Report. CP the Franchise, Alex Shataros here with special guest Rob Perez, a.k.a. Worldwide Wob, is in the building. On today's show, we are going to debrief the NBA in-season tournament. The tournament is over. LeBron and the Lakers hoisted up. We're going to recap the highs and lows of the tournament, and also state of the Knicks. You know, Rob is here, a diehard Knicks fan like ourselves. We got to talk about the state of the Knicks, man. Knicks, the hits just keep on hitting with the Knicks, so we got to get into that. Plus, the NBA is at the quarter season mark, so we'll give a couple of quarter season awards, talk about what we think about the league and some of the key highlights the quarter of the way through. So lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. And salute, man, another edition of the NBA Report. All right, fellas. Well, welcome back, Rob Perez. Welcome back, man. Good to have you on here, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I was last here. Before we went live, the audience doesn't know that Alex and I were spitting about 914 hoops back in the mid-2000s. Westchester County is a hotbed for high school basketball. You already have the New York market cornered for the Knicks. Maybe you should start another branch here, another channel that moves into the lower Hudson area, and then you start covering high school hoops.
You know what?
Really monopolize this CP.
That might not be a bad idea, man. Might not be a bad idea at all. So in-season tournament over with. Lakers over the Pacers, 123-109. You had LeBron hosting the trophy. They're spraying champagne in the locker room. Anthony Davis goes off. I mean, what was your overall? Let's start with the game. What was your overall take from this game?
I want to start with just the in-season tournament in general. I'm genuinely surprised, impressed, and kind of pleased that the players cared this much. Now, was there a little luck involved? The answer to that is yes, because when you have the Lakers there, and you have LeBron caring about the games, everyone else automatically falls. It's a domino effect. Yeah. So if LeBron cares, everybody's going to care. You set the stage in Las Vegas where he potentially wants to be the owner of the expansion franchise. The stars aligned perfectly for these games to matter. And even right before the tournament started, I'm never going to forget when Bones Highland was asked, how does this work again? Even the players at the time, they're about to play in it. 2 hours later, and the players didn't even know what they don't know about point differential. Why are they fouling when I'm up by 30? There were ways for this to fall apart, but because it played out this way, I think it's going to have some staying power in the NBA for years to come. But most importantly, like anything else in the league today, if the basketball is good, the fans will watch. Okay. Yeah. So these games in years past would have been random December 1st through December 9th. Pacers versus Lakers, which I'm sure if you're a real NBA sicko or just love the game of basketball, you'll find a way to appreciate it. But there was a noticeable difference of effort and care that transcended down to the fans. Need I remind all of you, this game was played in Las Vegas. There is no NBA team yet in Las Vegas. It's a hub for Lakers fans. They got people to buy tickets. Not that many, but they got people to buy tickets for a 2 p.m. game between the Pacers and the Bucks. And they got people to show up for Lakers versus Pelicans and people to watch. You know, ratings matter, especially now because the broadcast rights are about to expire. And they're doubling up on year-over-year numbers here. So if the basketball is good and the players care, it's funny how that works. The fans care as well.
Well, what did you think about, Ethan Strauss came out with his blog saying the whole thing was a flop. And I thought that, like you, from the final game of group play, the final night of group play, straight through the knockout round with Halliburton showcase himself and LeBron leading the Lakers, I thought it was good. I thought you had entertaining basketball. Guys were going at it. You were picking up full court. They were playing a physical type of game. I was very entertained by it. They had the courts and the jerseys and stuff like that. Some people didn't like it. I thought it was a nice switch up. Obviously, understanding that the league is trying to cater to that casual audience. You have the new TV rights coming up. Netflix might be interested, or some of the other streaming services. I thought this was a successful rollout, given this a first of its kind and kind of a concept that the NBA was rolling out here.
So, I mean, it could be considered a flop if you're comparing the NBA to like the NFL. Of course. I mean, you're missing a zero when it comes to number of people watching your game. So yeah, the NBA still is just a drop in the bucket compared to the media rights deals, I guess, that the NFL is able to obtain. But, they're a unicorn, they're an outlier. And the bar is very low for November and December NBA. Most mainstream sports fans, let alone NBA fans, but just sports fans, don't think the NBA starts until Christmas Day. That's a real thing.
Yeah,
I mean, we're here, we're watching every game. The Knicks have played and NBA has played 25 something games. Most people don't really know that. I've been in these trenches a long time, and I can assure you, those mainstream fans don't start coming over until that Christmas Day game. It's the Daytona 500 of basketball, right? It's at the beginning of the schedule is the biggest day.
All day.
So with all that said, no, I really don't think this was a flop because, first of all, the NBA cares about one thing above all, and that's making money. So that this worked out this way, they're going to sell this package, which is all the in-season tournament games will go to either Amazon or Netflix, or some streaming giant is going to pay them money for exclusive rights to this package because people cared and the Lakers won. So now it's a thing that people are going to be talking about for the rest of our days watching the league. So, I think it was a success also because of the quality of the basketball played, what it's going to result in long term. Of course, there's going to be little tweaks like the 2 p.m. tip off. I hated the courts.
Yeah.
I think they're terrible. They're too much. I'm a boomer.
I like the pacer
tradition.
I did like the pacer court.
Oh, CP, come on.
It was a tribute to Buddy Hield. It was Bahamas. I like the court, man.
Come on. I mean, we're watching Boise State of football, like a plus color rush on NFL.
Yeah.
And on an NBA court. And the jerseys didn't even match. The jerseys didn't match. Nothing matched. It's just spray and hope something sticks.
You had some people's courts weren't ready. You had guys slipping all over the place. That definitely needs work. But I did think, though, and Al, let me know your thoughts on this. I did think that when you got to that semifinal game, the 2 p.m. tip-off, you lost that crowd edge. Like, that, to me, was part of, like, what made this thing fun, was that you had Indiana turning up. You had Sacramento fans lighting the beam, turning up in the final stage of group play. Like, that crowd atmosphere is still a bit missing. It felt like even a little bit less than a summer league game, compared to when we went and saw Wembanyama over the summer. So I thought that part was a little bit missing.
I think the thing for that, and I totally agree, especially when you have it on a Thursday at 2 p.m., like, people are still in work. Who's tuning in? Like, I'm like getting ready to just like think about doing a workout, and then I get the notification, oh, game's about to start. I'm like, well, look, like, I'm not doing my workout right now because I want to sit down and watch this game. It was just at a really odd time. Like, the Pelicans-Lakers time was like the perfect time, but they're also, as Rob noted, like, that's a hub for Lakers fans. Like, you go to Summer League, CP, as we always talked about, you see Lakers fans just flocking in by the droves. And it's not too far from LA, so it makes sense. But definitely got to work on the time. There's definitely going to be tweaks to this thing. But I thought it was a major success. I like the entire aspect of it. The last day of group play where you're just like looking for, like, all right, point differential. Like, what's Boston doing? What's Miami doing? Is Miami going to beat the Bucks so that way the Knicks get better positioning? Like, I was all engaged, just trying to see what was going to happen, trying to figure out the math. That stuff was exciting. And I think the biggest thing, to add on to what Rob's saying, not only did you have the Lakers, but then you got a young and upcoming team with a upcoming superstar in Tyrese Halliburton to make it even better. And it was a good game. Like, you saw the Pacers had their run like up until the fourth quarter, trying to keep it close, but Lakers obviously were able to seal it and take home the trophy. But you got a young team, the new guard, the old guard, and LeBron James, a historic franchise in the Lakers, going against this young Indiana Pacers team. And it was a success. I'm looking forward to next year and see what tweaks they make. But definitely the 2:00 start time in Vegas was god awful.
So real quick, Adam Silver always, before this tournament started, he was using the analogy and comparing it to what the English Premier League does with their FA Cups and their national cups. I was thinking more of like the UEFA, which is the Champions League group stage, the final game, all the teams in the group play at the same time because goal differential matters more times than not in advancing to the knockout stage. And that just becomes such a witching hour, if you will, of like, oh my God, they're up by 1 on the goal. That changes the entire complexion of like the rest of the group. And it was fun to watch those, point differentials matter. And I love seeing DeMar DeRozan like just tilt it off. Just what are we doing here? Like, they're already eliminated. Why are you Foul. We're down by 30. And even Billy Donovan is sitting over there, like doing his math in his head, down by 30. And Joe Mazzulla is like, your math is off. Like, this is just funny to me that you can get blown out and still, like, I'm sorry, like the whole unwritten rule of don't embarrass your opponent doesn't apply here. And it got people talking. Look, we've been now speaking about this for almost 15 minutes. And that's ultimately all the NBA cares about, is driving interest in conversation around it if it's genuine and constructive. So the basketball was good. It was interesting. There weren't any major flaws in even that 2 p.m. game because it was on a neutral site. Maybe that's how you fix this here. You know, that we go back to doing them in home arenas, the semifinals, and then you play just the finals in Vegas or just the finals in Madison Square Garden, or you take it international and you go to London and Paris and you do it at these times because the NBA is an international sport. There's ways to tweak it, I think, but overall, everyone is pretty dang pleased.
Al, my 2 cents. Shout out to my 2 cents in the chat, checking in, sends a €5 super chat, says, what are your thoughts on the final game stats not counting? I think they have to fix that going forward. Salute, guys. I mean, you had AD go all 41 and 20. Says I'm him in there. He's killing Miles Turner and all those guys. What do you think about that? Final stats counting. Should it be counted?
Should be counted as like its own thing, like how you have playoff stats, right? I think you need to have the difficulty is that the in-season tournament is considered regular season games. So I think if you're going to have for the final game not included,
right? Except the final,
except for the last one, except for the finals. I think that should be its own category. Then you should start keeping track of like that own statistical category, or you create like even a subsection of like regular season play and then in-season tournament play, right? Like it'll still like for all those games, it will count towards the regular season, but then you create that subsection as well. Like this is how they perform during the in-season tournament. And then you can include the finals aspect to that as well. So you're keeping track of 3 stats, 2 will overlap. But I think that's a way to solve that issue. And look, the only reason they didn't include it is like the same reason for the play-in tournament, right? It's not considered playoffs. What do you consider it? And I think the play-in tournament should have its own statistical category that you keep track of over the years, just because we like to go back. We like to refer to things. I think that's a way to solve that issue.
So, by the way, stats with players, sometimes 83 games get played by a player because they were traded to a team that has an additional game on their schedule and the team that they got traded from. I think who did it last? Someone just did it last year. I think I
think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, someone played 83 games last year.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, it might have been Mikal Bridges. He had
Mikal Bridges. Yeah.
So this isn't even like a thing that hasn't happened in the past. You just add it to the regular season stats. That Anthony Davis game just disappears into the abyss. That's not not fair to him.
No, you got to count that for AD. You don't know if he's making it to Wednesday, man. Knock on wood. You know, that was a signature game, man. So they got to figure out a way to count it for the game. You know, I had a hard time going against Halliburton. I just thought momentum was on his side.
But listen to me, CP.
Yeah, but give credit. I give you credit, and we talked about this on Friday's show, Al. I did think that the Lakers defensively would pose the best opposition to Halliburton, and they made him look like a mere mortal, right? When the Bucks and the Celtics had him looking like a god, Lakers were able to hold him to 20-11, 3 turnovers. He did turn the ball over, so they made him a little bit human. But I just thought the combination of the wings that they could throw at him, from Cam to Prince, Vanderbilt, on top of their pick and roll coverages with AD kind of leading the charge and them showing him different looks. I thought they did a great job of really just slowing him down. And then on the other end, I mean, boy, oh boy, you heard LeBron James mic'd up talking to Coach and AD about how to take Miles Turner. 86 points in the paint for the Lakers in this game. Unheard of. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, Ben.
And it's because, like, you got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I mean, you got 2 guys who could be their own wrecking crew and just attack the middle of the paint, whether it's LeBron driving, AD doing whatever he does, whether it's just posting up, back to the basket. I mean, he's just so talented. It was just difficult for Miles Turner alone. I mean, think about it. You have Aaron Naismith out there that you're asking to be your power forward. Then you got Obi Toppin, not necessarily a great defender, as much as I love Obi. But the front court for the Lakers alone can just demolish what the Pacers have going on. It had to be a track meet, and the Lakers are also capable of keeping up as well.
Yeah, I mean, they forced someone other than Tyrese Halliburton to beat them. was their number one initiative and goal
Yeah.
going into this game, and they succeeded in that. They turned it into a half court rock fight like we see in the playoffs. No more of this, you're going to run us out of the gym and you've got the number one net rating offense of all time. You're going to have to do that in the half court. You know, when Anthony Davis locks in like that, no more of those bunnies at the rim. Vanderbilt's on the court, I believe, as well. That's just added elements of defense. Is what got the Lakers to the conference finals last year. I mean, that was a team that was barely like in the play-in tournament at the trade deadline. And then just magically overnight, you know, they became this basketball Godzilla in a lot of ways. And when they decided to show it, you knew LeBron was going to give it the 2007, like he was running with Jamario Moon type effort because of all those things we discussed at the top of the show. That's a special kind of effort. All right. You need, if you have Jamario Moon and Sasha Pavlovich and Aaron Newble as your running mates, sometimes you got to score 25 straight points in an Eastern Conference Finals game against the Pistons. So I know for those of you that are going to audit me on that, I know that Jamario Moon was the year after.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, when LeBron turns up like that, it's contagious. Then you get the version of Anthony Davis that we saw in games 1, 3, 5, and 7 during the playoffs last year when he did every other where he's the greatest player on earth. Well, guess what? That one showed up again, and he's certainly capable of it. And Laker fans get frustrated, especially here in Los Angeles, because like, why can't we get this out of this guy every time? It's clearly possible, and you're always chasing your own tail because you're never going to get there. But the Lakers, when they lock in like that, you know, there's a reason why they're in the conference finals.
Dominated the glass as well. I think they won on the rebounds by more than 20. So they were really able to control that pace, control the glass, and have their way with the Pacers. They get it despite the phantom timeout call that they gave them during the Phoenix Suns game, which, you know, the fix was totally in and obvious, but we won't go there.
Don't forget the group play, CP. Don't forget the group play.
Yes, exactly. What did he?
That call, by the way? Okay, so I don't want to defend the referees because he ended up getting the call wrong, but he's on the other side of the court. Devin Booker fell over and the ball didn't pop out in front of him until the ball was loose because we saw it on television. The angle, we're looking right at it, but he couldn't see through the dude's body. So like LeBron's calling the timeout, he blew the whistle and then he has to give the timeout. So it ended up being the wrong call, but I don't know how he would have ever known that the ball was loose until it was well away from Devin Booker. So it's easy for us to sit here and yell, but not a single person on the show or watching this would have been able to make that correct call there because you can't see where the ball is, man. I don't know what else this is going to happen in basketball. So
I got to wonder if they look at that and consider reviewing plays like that, like an automatic review in late game situations. We'll have to wait and see. But, you know, both teams represented, I think, an interesting dynamic in that you saw the Pacers, who were an upstart team coming into this year, really show you some signs of life. Yes, the number one offense in the league, and can that sustain in the playoffs? And Halliburton's brilliance, I mean, damn near MVP magic. And then on the Lakers side, you have formidable teams in the West. You have, you have the Thunder being an upstart. You have the Nuggets to tangle with, Minnesota certainly, but Lakers also are interesting because LeBron and AD are playing at that high level when healthy. They have a bevy of wings. They have a nice core there. Well, how about trades? Like you have Levine in the top in their sights. You have Siakam on the other side, maybe for the Pacers. Al, I'll start with you, man. What do you think about both of those teams? Like, do you think trades could be in their future to try to maintain their edge, man, in their respective conferences?
I think you do need to make a trade if you're the Lakers just for scoring purposes. Like if Anthony Davis gets hurt, or if you're trying to reduce LeBron James's minutes so that way you can have him towards the end of the season. Having another scorer like Zach LaVine, who we saw drop 50 at the beginning of the season, that would totally help take the added pressure off LeBron James and Anthony Davis just to be available to play 30-plus minutes on a nightly basis to keep this team afloat. And you saw, like, yes, this is an in-season tournament. You see how great these guys can be when, the money's on the line, but you're going to need somebody else, in my opinion. Like, it's cool to have Cam out there. Great story. It's cool that you got like all of these other young guards. I mean, you have Rui off the bench that I like. You got Austin Reeves too off the bench, who could be impactful. But you need somebody else in that starting rotation outside of D'Lo, in my opinion, who's still inconsistent on some nights. Like one night he could drop you 20, and other night it's just a quiet 10. You're going to need somebody who you can consistently rely on offensively, and I think Zach LaVine fits that bill. I mean, you go get DeMar DeRozan too, the mid-range assassin. But I think if you're LeBron, you want somebody who is also a legitimate knockdown 3-point shooter, and that is Zach LaVine.
So 2 things on this. First of all, if they go and get DeMar DeRozan, I know the guy's from LA. I know he's a dynamic scorer. Did we not learn our lesson with Russell Westbrook? What happens to this offense when you have a mid-range guy that is a whirlpool of just usage? Like, you dump that guy the ball and you get out of the way. That's not how the Lakers succeed. They succeed with pick and rolls with LeBron James and Anthony Davis with the game on the line, surrounding them with 3-point shooters in the corner and putting downhill pressure on the rim. DeMar DeRozan just cancels all of that out because of spacing, not because he's a bad player. I just don't know if it's the right fit. And then number 2 is, what on earth are we trading to get these guys? The Bulls aren't just going to give them away for free, considering the market is going to be quite steep for demand when it comes. Everyone knows they're available. As many games as the Chicago Bulls win, they're on a little win streak here. That doesn't matter. Like, they're still going to carry a price tag and they may end up getting it. So if let's say it's LaVine, who are you trading? Now, Austin Reeves? You can't. If you traded Austin Reeves,
he's playing way too.
If you traded Austin Reeves after what happened with Caruso, there would be actual protests, not the fake protests at the crypto.com.
the real get new owners.
The real ones.
The real ones.
No, you cannot trade Austin Reeves. And if you can't trade Austin Reeves, what on earth are you trading besides D'Angelo Russell to match contracts? Cam Reddish doesn't have that value yet. I know he's given him some good minutes, but that's not enough to just take Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls. So all of these mistakes that the Lakers have made in free agency and trades throughout the years is a 2-headed sword, because 1, it's put them in this position of being conference finals contenders, but 2, they've made their bed in terms of transactions and they kind of have to sleep in it at this point.
Yeah, when you sell your soul to the devil, hey, they got the chip, but it's always hard to maintain that window.
The Mickey Mouse chip.
Right. Right. And what everybody wants to put the asterisks on, I guess. But I think for the Lakers, they're just in a tricky spot, man, because you can marvel at the brilliance of LeBron James. And when AD is, durable, they look great. But I just feel like it's an over-reliance on those guys, especially given AD's injury history, LeBron's age, and his durability. He has had some knick-knack injuries as of late. I think they do need another guy. Austin Reeves is great off the bench. I think he's been playing very well and starting to get into his groove for sure. But I still think they may need to look for another piece. And then for the Pacers, well, it's been said that obviously, the wing is where they need the assistance. A lot of the reports are saying that they're going to be after a wing presence. They've got, over $9 million in salary cap that they can absorb, bevy of draft picks, according to Bobby Marks. I think Siakam could be a target for them, man. I think that could be a realistic target for him. Lame duck season with the Raptors. Hard to predict which way Ujiri moves, but for the Pacers, I'm going to be interested to see how aggressive they will be this season, given what might look like a revelation just on where they are in the East and how Halliburton looks so far, man. It looks great.
But before we move on from the DeRozan topic, I feel like that might be a good segue to talk Knicks here, because who can put together a better package for DeRozan, who I know the Knicks need 3-point shooting, but we need another alpha scorer, like, more than anything.
So you co-sign that?
What's that?
Would you co-sign that? DeRozan to the Knicks move?
Well, I'm getting into what it's going to take.
Yeah.
So we have to match a contract, and I assume the Knicks would want to trade just Fournier, and if Quentin Grimes is falling out of the rotation the same way Obi Toppin did with Thibodeau, then he's going to be included. I love Quentin Grimes. I don't want him to go anywhere, but I just know the way Thibodeau operates. And when he loses trust in you and you get yanked out of the starting lineup. I love what he did in Boston when he got his minutes. I thought he was professional and he showed up, but I'd be kidding myself if I didn't think he was potential trade bait. So you have Fournier, Grimes, and then there's always going to be that Randall question, depending on what you get back. Do you save Randall for a potential Karl Anthony Towns trade? Why would the Minnesota Timberwolves ever fix something that's not broken? They might be the best team in the Western Conference.
Right.
So, Cat was going around the rumor mill a little bit. I think it's more realistic for DeMar DeRozan to be involved in that. And the reason is Cat's locked up long-term. DeRozan's contract's coming up here, and you're not going to move for him unless you're paying a rental price or you get him to sign an extension, because DeRozan's still got some years left here, I think, and being a pretty dang good scorer. So if you can get DeRozan to sign an extension in New York, just as a hypothetical assumption for this particular proposition I'm about to offer you, it's going to be Grimes. It's going to be Fournier. Would you give up Randall for DeRozan? Yes or no?
No.
No.
I don't think it moves us any closer. I think you got to save Randall.
Nah, I wouldn't do that just because of the age. I wouldn't do that because of the age.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's fair, but I think you got to think about it for a second, right? And that's where we're at.
For sure. That's
where we're at. That's where we're at with the Knicks right now, because for the next 10 weeks without Mitchell Robinson, the defense was already falling apart before. Now it's really going to fall apart because he was the safety net protecting the rim as the Knicks get their perimeter defense broken down by any team wearing an NBA jersey. So they're going to have to survive for a little bit. Ultimately, the bigger question of how far the Knicks can go in the playoffs isn't as reliant on Mitchell Robinson as it is getting Jalen Brunson another playoff score, someone that can go shot for shot with the Bucks or the 76ers or the Celtics. Because as it's currently constructed, the three of us, I mean, we're all Knicks fans, but I consider myself to be realistic. There's no way that we're winning 4 out of 7 games against one of those elite teams as currently constructed. Doesn't mean the potential's not there, but there needs to be at some point a little bit of a shakeup. And if that means you rent DeMar DeRozan, I'm also okay with the rental strategy, and you trade Fournier and Grimes and you don't sign him to an extension, because I don't know who's going to actually pay that price unless he signs multi-years there. You just go the rental strategy and you punt on Grimes and you just kind of hope that DeRozan and Brunson find some magic together with Mitchell Robinson coming back. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm not in the position to make those calls. However, I've seen worse ideas, especially from the Knicks.
You're okay with punting on Grimes just for a rental with DeMar DeRozan?
I'm not, but I'm open to having the conversation. I'm the guy that was sitting here saying this guy should be starting like 2 years ago, and he can't crack the Thibodeau rotation at all. And then he finally gets in, and now that he's not producing, he's going to get yanked. So it's just, I'm a little frustrated by the lack of trust in Knicks young guys starts from it's not even a Thibodeau thing. I think it starts at the top with Leon and just the way that he's always operated with either his clients or Tom Thibodeau is his head coach, and the trickle down effect. Quentin Grimes finds himself out of the rotation. If he's not playing, would you rather have him just sitting there in warmups, or would you go for a rental? That's the only reason why I propose it, because obviously Quentin Grimes being on a rookie deal, his age, all of the above, those things matter. But if he's not going to play, then I just don't know what to do if he's not going to see the court unless it's a blowout. So that's why I threw it out there.
Yeah, I'm still interested to see which direction that they go and how aggressive they will be, because remember the clock is ticking on the Fournier contract to be able to use it. So are they going to use it on a DeRozan rental? Are they going to use it on a potential Mitchell Robinson insurance policy? I mean, this news today is tough to hear, man. It's 8 to 10 weeks. Mitchell Robinson being out with an ankle injury. Clearly, there's some structural issue there because he requires surgery. I'm not sure. Hartenstein is a good backup. He's been playing well since like the second half of last year. He certainly found a home here and has a lot of chemistry there. You have Sims now moving up. But, Mitch's impact on this team, it's going to be felt across so many areas, from the rebounding, defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, the pick and roll coverages. I mean, the defense is already in a tough spot, especially at the point of attack where they are weak. You have Brunson and DiVincenzo there now, Grimes to the bench. This Mitchell Robinson thing is going to hurt us, Al. I mean, they went 12 and 11 last year without him. Now he's out. They got Toronto tonight and have to go 5 out west before coming back to see Milwaukee 2 more times. And then, oh, by the way, Happy New Year. Here's Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, the number 1 team in the West, come to the Garden on New Year's, man. They're in a tough spot.
You said 12 and 11. So he missed, what was it, 23 games last season. We're talking about 14. Yeah. Well, let's see. We're talking about 14 now. We're talking about probably another 50. We're talking about close to 30 games that he's going to be missing until February, where he'll be reevaluated. It's not guaranteed to be back. So they could potentially be even longer, right? It sucks, man. Mitchell Robinson, who was having like a defensive player type season, win the actual award would have been, I think, a long shot, but just because how Rudy has just bounced back this season, but he could have definitely been on one of those teams for how he was playing defense, like one of the defensive teams, probably the second team. And to lose him, it sucks just because of the rim protection, his ability in pick and roll coverage. The offensive rebounding is going to be drastically different. Now, granted, Isaiah Hartenstein as a backup big is solid as an offensive rebounder, but Mitch is just number one, man. Just an elite. It's like he covers up a lot of the Knicks miscues on offense, where it's some inefficient offense, especially when they get into isolation. You get some shots by like either RJ, Randall, Brunson that aren't going in. He's there to clean it all up. And to lose a guy like that, it's going to be brutal for the Knicks. I mean, Hartenstein will be a good backup. I think he'll be fine. You just pointed they went 12-11 with Hartenstein filling that role. I know it was also Jericho Sims filling in some of those games at starter as well. But my issue is that Hartenstein as a starter will be fine, but it's like we won't even use the full aspect of what Hartenstein is, which is a good passing big. Like, are we going to run some high pick and roll for him? Or like not even necessarily high pick and roll, but like will we at the high post just doing handoffs, bounce passes, finding guys cutting? Like that's something that we saw with him and Grimes in Boston, and we know he can do with other players. But I feel like in that starting rotation where you're going to have Brunson dominating the ball, Randall dominating the ball, and then you got RJ there too, it's just tough to use his full capability where he's better suited for that bench unit. That's the only thing.
Mitchell Robinson is the most irreplaceable Knick for me. That doesn't mean he's the best player. Jalen Brunson's our best player, but irreplaceable. And that's with how good Hartenstein is as a backup big. Like he's still that impactful on every game. His mere presence, there's only a couple of guys. It's Gobert, Wembanyama, and Mitchell Robinson that can make dudes just look at the rim from 4 feet away and reconsider shooting it. That's the type of coverage that he has. That's his ability above the rim. That's his wingspan and athleticism, which is simply on a different level. The Knicks cannot come back from a Mitchell Robinson long-term injury. They can try, and they will, and they'll bust their ass. I know that they haven't had a single game that they haven't brought the energy this year. So you can be proud of them and just be realistic that without Mitchell Robinson, they are never, ever winning a championship, let alone being a contender. We can talk about DeRozan all we want. But if it comes down to like guys that the Knicks can't lose and I'm ranking them, Mitchell Robinson is at the top of that list. Number 1, Jalen Brunson at a distant number 2, just because of the system that the Knicks run and how much they rely on him. They can find scoring at some point. They have Randall, they have Barrett. That's not to demean what Jalen Brunson is worth, but they don't have anyone that can influence the air up there.
None whatsoever. And now, as far as, replacements, insurance options, do they bring your boy Taj Gibson back out? Do they bring Taj back for a third tour, to a second tour, whatever he did?
Just call Joe Kim, CP, while you're at it.
Call Joe Kim, say, hey, we paid you enough. Can you come give us a couple minutes here?
I've seen Charles Oakley recently. If he wasn't banned from the Garden, I could say he was in shape.
Right.
Give him some run too.
Listen, my Kelly Olynyk theory is still being floated out there. I'm seeing a lot of fans get on board with it, man. You want a passing big man? You want a guy who can space the floor, shoot some threes for you? He's RJ's right-hand man. Chemistry, not an issue. Plays tough, plays rugged.
We've seen, CP,
we
have seen too much. You're my age, okay? There's a faction of Knicks fans. Being a Knicks fan is very political because it depends on your age.
Yeah.
And if you were born, if you're younger, if you're like out of college and you were born in the 2000s, then you maybe were around for the Stephon Marbury, Steve Francis, the 1 year of trading for Tracy McGrady so that you think you can go and get LeBron, or maybe you saw Othello Harrington and Clarence Weatherspoon running pick and rolls together, but you weren't alive for the Jerome James MSG commercial. You weren't alive for the 1994 Game 7 with John Starks. Like, we've seen too much. So when you tell me these things like Kelly Olynyk might be a suitable, can hold down the fort, if it doesn't result in winning a championship, I can't do this.
I know, man. I
can't do this. It's either championship or bust. Good seasons, congratulations. You know what? We made the second round last year. This is why Knicks fans, a lot of them don't like me because I'm always sound like I'm pessimistic. And it's again, just I've seen too much and I've been to the brink. And when the beginning of Lord of the Rings, where he doesn't drop the ring in the lava and he just takes it back and it changes. All John Starks has to do is make one shot and my life is completely different. I believe in that. But people don't share those same experiences. So I'm sitting here with a different perspective. And I'm telling you right now, Kelly Olynyk does nothing to get that ring into the Mount Doom fire.
This is true. This is true. I'm just talking about insurance, right? You got Mitch out. You might lose Hartenstein. He's playing well. I'm just talking about insurance and to give the offense a nicer look, a different look, right? Everybody's looking for Julius to play with a floor spacing big. This could be a cheaper option. Maybe this unlocks Julius and turns him into the MVP that Knicks fans want him to be. I'm just thinking on the chessboard. That's it. Little incremental moves could mean a lot.
Are you Kelly Olynyk's agent? I just need to know this. What do you do outside of this?
Listen, I was pulling for Olynyk before they got iHeart. They got iHeart, and here we go. No,
let me tell you something. I can only imagine if Kelly Olynyk was a United States citizen, he would be on that presidential ticket with you right next to Alec Burks. Burks would be president.
Olynyk
would be vice president.
24.
CP's all-star bench unit in the works right here. Just pay attention, people. Pay attention.
Olynyk and Burks 24, man. So look, I think I don't know. I see playing status with this team right now with this Mitch injury and a tough December. 3 more home games left. I think like 12 road games. It's gonna be a gut check period for the squad. Let's see how let's see how they bounce back, man. Because I don't see the big trade on the horizon until the summertime. Now they got to tread water till Mitch comes back. I understand your pain, Rob. I understand your pain. But as the conductor at Knicks Fan TV, I have to preach optimism for the people. Man.
I know. It's good business for you, but you can't kill what's already dead, right? What's dead may never die.
He's broken.
God.
He's broken.
No, I'm resigned. I just don't want to die and not have the New York Knicks win me like one title. So that's all I care about. And anything that doesn't help me get there is just irrelevant. And whether it's Kelly Olynyk or Isaiah Hartenstein, like we're just in a different tier compared to these other teams in the Eastern Conference. We all know it too, but it's good business for you to spread the word of God in a way.
We got to spread the gospel.
I don't go to church to listen to a negative sermon.
That's right.
I'm it's just good business, so I understand it. But man, I can't get there with you right now. I just can't.
Rob, I can only imagine you doing like your burrito test, just dropping this thing, just thinking about the Knicks, like, oh man, this is how the season goes.
So many burritos
like this. Boom.
Why do you think I eat so many burritos? Because they make me happy. And clearly my basketball team doesn't. And I have to sit here 3 times a week and dedicate 3 hours of every day to watching them either come back from a 20-point lead or blow a 20-point lead and make it dramatic late. And knowing that it's all ultimately going to end in a second-round exit. What are we doing? Why do I continue to do this 36 years later?
It's in your blood, man. It's in your DNA.
No shit.
It's in your DNA.
It's what made you who you are, Rob. Why you're so formidable.
Yeah. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. CP the Franchise, Alex Charles, Rob Perez, a.k.a. Worldwide Wob in the building. The NBA Report. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Let's go to this next segment, rapid fire in the interest of time. Quarter season awards, Rob. I got a couple of these that I want to get your opinion on. Biggest surprise so far, quarter of the way through.
Well, not a surprise to me, but to the rest of the NBA. I mean, I had the Minnesota Timberwolves beating the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs last year. I've been all in on the Wolves, and I've got them I have futures bets on them to win the division, win the West, win the title, and for them to be this high in the standings, be number 1. I think it's going to be a surprise to a lot of fans out there when they start paying attention on that Christmas Day, like we discussed. And they're like, wait a second, the Wolves are this good? The Wolves are absolutely this good. They have an MVP in Anthony Edwards, a guy that carried Team USA this summer, a guy that is ready to be the best player on a championship team right now. They have the Defensive Player of the Year healthy again, who's about to win his 4th in Rudy Gobert. That whole trade that they got killed for is looking like it may finally start to pay off. And then you just have Karl Anthony Towns as the third wheel, right? Yeah. This former number 1 pick guy that's all sorts of talented. And then they just send size at you with McDaniels and Kyle Anderson. They are so deep. They are so good. And Finch has these guys operating on all cylinders. So the biggest surprise for me is the Minnesota Timberwolves being a team that absolutely can win an NBA championship right now.
Yeah, so my pick as well. Biggest frustration or the team you're most frustrated with right now, quarter of the way through.
Frustrated. Well, what frustrates me is the Miami Heat can just like be 500. And then we all know when the playoffs come around, they turn into the greatest franchise of all time, that they can just punch the time clock.
Yeah, cut them out.
Just rest Jimmy Butler and give a 9 to 5 effort. That's pretty frustrating to me because we all know what's going to happen as soon as the calendar hits April. But I don't know how this answer doesn't end with the Detroit Pistons after all of these drafts and top picks, Duren, Ivy, Cade Cunningham, that they still not only can't figure it out, like to be a playing team, they are the joke of the league. How have they all of these combinations of talent that they have? Now they have Bagley and Wiseman that they are horrific. I mean, they are unwatchable, and they are so bad, CP and Alex, that they get other teams are so scared to lose to them for being embarrassed that they're so bad that now they're getting the best punch from the good teams so that we don't lose to you. Like that's even worse than being bad. That's a special level of bad. So it's either them. The Grizzlies fall into this bucket as well. But when John Morant comes back, I imagine that they'll pick it back up. So biggest disappointment, Pistons. Biggest surprise, Timberwolves. And I just want to give an honorable mention to the Rockets as well, who turned down what was the Pistons of the West very quickly. So it is possible.
Rookie, are you going Chet? Are you classifying Chet in that way? Or are you looking at Chet?
Yeah, Chet as of now, there's still a long season left, but Chet's your rookie of the year. I mean, he's got the same numbers as Wembanyama. He's winning. He's impactful. Yeah. He's not the best player on that team because that belongs to Shea, but how he's able to do Mitchell Robinson things while being able to stretch the floor and shoot threes too. That's a special talent. He brings the ball up the floor sometimes. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Most improved.
This is the toughest one to pick because it is subjective in your definition of the award. Is it the quantity of distance traveled, meaning someone that was irrelevant became a fringe all-star? And that's a really long way to travel, like a Lauri Markkanen? Mm-hmm. Or is it the leap from all-star to superstar? And more times than not in recent history, it's the latter, that the voters go with a guy that was already good. Because if someone's already good, are they improved? So is Tyrese Halliburton going to win most improved player? I thought he was already a superstar. So what's above superstar? Like LeBron? That's the only way he could technically win the award. But there is that sweet spot. And I think it belongs right now to Tyrese Maxey, who is that all-star he might be the guy, if not already in Philadelphia. I know Embiid is there. He's the reigning MVP, so that's out of pocket. But Embiid's only half kidding when he says that this kid is the franchise. He is the franchise. He changes everything, and he is an undoubted, minted superstar. So for me, Tyrese Maxey, most improved player for that reason.
MVP, are you going Embiid, Jokic, or Halliburton right now?
Yeah, I do this thing called Leader in the Clubhouse where I do 18 weeks like golf holes, and I put who the leader is after every Friday of the week until the end of the regular season. And this was the first week of doing it this past Friday, and I went with Jokic, but it changes every week. I had Giannis's face on the board until the in-season tournament game, and then I replaced it with Jokic. But if I could do it right now, I can't because it's Monday and not Friday. I'd probably flip to Embiid. And then there was a week there that it was probably Luka. So it's still early enough for this to turn over. But there is a guy lurking, by the way, in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If the Oklahoma City Thunder keep winning, his name is going to be, at the very least, on the podium in third place, at the very least. And if he's hanging around at the All-Star break and the Oklahoma City Thunder are in third or fourth, he's going to get first place consideration, especially if the Denver Nuggets are going into this hole. We're champs. We're kind of just coasting until the playoffs mode. This is a regular season award. It is not an award built on potential when we know Jokic turns up.
True indeed, man. Well, great stuff. Great segment. Definitely appreciate the time, man. And I may be out in LA in a month or so, man. We're planning a Knicks fan get together. If you're up for it, if you have the strength, man, we'd love to have you come out and join us, watch a game, throw a couple brews back or something. Come through.
I'll muster up the courage and come be social. As much doom and gloom as I may seem, I people that know me in real life, I'm not as bad. I don't think, not nearly as cynical as I guess I am on the internet, but that's natural. So the Knicks just do that naturally. I'm a Knicks and Mets fan. So do you? I mean, can you at least?
Hopefully you're not a Jets
fan.
A
little sympathy for me. I mean, there's a reason why I am the way that I am. So
are you a Jets fan too, Rob?
No, thankfully not a New York's football fan, but those two teams in the Mets and the Knicks, they check all the boxes. So yeah, I'm more than happy to be social and watch the Knicks because at least that'll distract me from the impending doom that is likely for this team unless they make a major trade deadline move or Giannis just decides I'm going to terminate my contract and move to New York. Like these things are so unrealistic.
Adrian Griffin, I've had enough.
Yeah, I'm just going to rip up my contract. I'll see you in court. I'm going to play for the Knicks. What is that, a 1 in a billion chance if we're lucky? So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, of course, I'd love to hang out.
There it is, man. Rob Perez. Rob, thanks again for the time. All the best, man. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon, man.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yes, sir. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Our guy, Rob Perez, a.k.a. Worldwide Wob, in the building. Another great edition of the NBA Report, man. CP the franchise, Alex Taros here. Quality content, Al, is what we promise to deliver to the people Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Most of the times 3 o'clock, but we have to make arrangements. Rob had to do 2, so we had to make arrangements for our guests. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. That's we got to be gracious hosts, right? We got to make sure that we make sure the time's available for him to come through. Come on, that's all we do around here, man.
Elixir Flow salutes. Yeah, my 2 cents. Miles Brown. JJ never misses a show, man. KFTV NBA Report, man. He's there. He's rocking with us. Shout out to Lopez 104 in here. Juan B always in here. Gregory Weiner always in here. We got our regulars, man. We have our 2-channel regulars. Richard Miranda, salute. We got our 2-channel regulars in here, man. Salute Daquan Tillery as well, man.
That's what I'm talking about. I like it, man.
Yeah.
I like the regulars coming through, supporting the movement. Getting to talk Knicks today, get to talk NBA today, man. We cover it all. We do it all.
Cover it all. Remember that the show is presented by Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. Go to prizepicks.com. Use promo code MBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100. Al, you've been the money man on this show.
Oh, God.
How did you do on Friday? On Friday's NBA Tilt. How'd you do on Friday's NBA Tilt, man?
All good things must come to an end, CP. Ooh, so unfortunately,
okay. You were pretty aggressive with the 6-pack.
I was. Look, man, I had success once. Sometimes you go back to now the Prize Picks God said, relax, my man, relax. Don't go back to the 6. Stick with the 5. Yeah, we gave you your 1 shot.
Humbled you up.
Be happy with what you got.
Yeah.
But here we go. This is what happened, man. So first off, I hit on Tyrese Maxey getting over 26 points going against the Atlanta Hawks because the Hawks don't play any defense. They're also a turnstile defense. He got 30. I also hit on Dennis Schroeder getting less than 6.5 assists against Charlotte. I feel like those type of games where it's highly competitive and where you have like the capability of just Siakam or you have Scotty Barnes that don't need you to set them up. I feel like you don't need that much work from Dennis Schroeder. So he got 5, hit on that one. And then the last one I hit was Scotty Barnes because I feel like this is just a gift. 1.5 3-pointers made. He's been making more than 1.5 at this point. He's been making 2 at minimum for the most part. He hit with 3 that night. This is where it all went awry, CP. This is where it all went awry. Mikal Bridges, you are facing the Washington Turnstiles. What is happening? They're not getting over 25.5 points. I'm looking at you, man. You're the one that really set me back. Come on. Mikal, you only got 21 points?
Bridges. That's my guy, man. That's my guy.
And then you had Randall with less than 5 assists.
Okay.
Cam Johnson couldn't make 2, 3 3-pointers. That's your job, man. That's your job.
Tough night at the office, man. But you've been killing it, man. Here's where I went. I did a ticket for the in-season tournament finals. I did a ticket for the in-season tournament finals, man. And in this one, I went against the king. I went with LeBron James with less than 46 points, rebounds, and assists. I went with that, and he finished with 39. I was clear on that one. Now, despite the fact that I told you on Friday that I liked the Lakers' defensive potential against Halliburton, I just felt like the magic was on his side and that momentum was going to carry him in this Pacer team. But I should have stuck with my guns and went with the lesser number on his points, rebounds, and assists because he finished with 32. I took more with 46. If I would have had that, I would have been $200 richer on the night. I did go with our guy, Obi Toppin, with more than 12 points in that game. He finished with 13, so Obi hit on that. And I went with Austin Reeves. I thought this was no-brainer. Places aren't guarding anybody. I went with Austin Reeves with more than Then 15 points, finished with 22. So all in all, I got 4 out of 5 right. I keep getting those. I keep going one off from the jackpot. I think tonight is my night. Stay tuned for the end of the show. We'll get into our Monday picks. And we'll get back into that. Get back into it. Remember, prizepicks.com, promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100. All right, back to the quarter season awards. Had to kind of go rapid fire with Rob for the interest of time. But let's go back to you, Al. We'll go back and forth on this one. Rapid fire. Surprise team.
Surprise team to me right now is definitely the Philadelphia 76ers, CP. And for me, it's more so because I'm always looking for the James Harden effect of the implosion that happens afterwards. You see how the Nets, after he left the following season, we're done here, guys. Let's just get out of here. I know you have Kyrie over there as well. That also helped that detonation go off, but still shocked that for Philly, you lose James Harden. You didn't really miss a beat. If anything, addition by subtraction in this case, and you're even better, in my opinion, with Tyrese Maxey. You move on from Doc Rivers to get Nick Nurse, who's implementing a more free-flowing offense where it's not so ISO heavy, and you got Tobias Harris looking good as well. I like that team, man. I think I had this team very far off from where the Bucks and the Celtics are, but I don't really think they are. Yeah, you had Maxey and Embiid miss some games here and there, but when they're healthy, I would put them up there with the Bucks and the Celtics to compete. So they've been the biggest surprise for me this season, just because how everything transpired this offseason. And look, Morey didn't get the trade that he really wanted to get that, that great haul of draft assets or that superstar in return. Mm-hmm. But he still got enough to go, and you say, hey, this is still a competitive team that should make it to the second round at minimum.
Or maybe could be even conference finals. Who knows?
Yeah,
I like that pick. I like that pick because I didn't think they were going to be much without Harden, but give credit. Maxey certainly pouring it on, and Embiid is Embiid, and so I did think they were going to take a little bit of a step back without Harden, but seems like they've been 10 times better. So not missing him at all. I could have went Magic with their hot start and one of the better defenses in the league. I'm just not sure if there's a potential regression there. So I got to go with Minnesota because of how they flamed out in the past, the negative perceptions or reactions, myself included, to the Gobert trade. It's not going to work. It failed or it's failing. And we didn't take into account chemistry, stability, adjustments by head coach Chris Finch, the next level of Anthony Edwards, which is starting, although he's got to get healthy. Karl Anthony Towns playing very well, Jaden McDaniels. And so at number one in the West, in a competitive Western Conference, Minnesota looks for real. And they look like they're going to be there, a force for this season. I don't see a potential regression with Minnesota, but I am surprised that they've been able to launch out to the West and really be a better team than most on most nights, which has been pretty surprising. And so, they've been my number one in my power rankings, and I got to go with that's my surprise team. The team you're most frustrated with right now.
I'm going to go the Portland Trailblazers, CP. That's the team I'm most frustrated with. And it's, out of everyone, I'm looking at Scoot Henderson because he's supposed to be that alpha dog that just came in and really that transcendent talent. And he hasn't shown that. I know he had the eye injury back in November. And then you're also talking about just shooting poorly from the field, man. I mean, he's shooting 33.6% from the field. He's shooting an abysmal 18% from three and averaging 9 points. So, seeing that and the 4 assists per game, you're playing 25 minutes. I mean, this is why you have Malcolm Brogdon out there, because I think if you left that, it would just be even worse. But I was expecting him to come in and make more of an impact. And this is more so towards Scoot Henderson than the actual team. And they have some pieces that I do like there, that you can make it, that can make it interesting. I mean, you got Sharp there, Jeremy Grant, even though I think, Portland's going to move him. He's a good fit right now with what they're doing. The Malcolm Brogdon having a veteran over there is also helpful. The Trailblazers have talent, but Scoot just being so off right now to start his NBA season has really thrown it back from this team being really fun to watch, because at the start of the season, it seemed like they were competitive, right? It's like, okay, they're very young. They're not going to be able to maintain throughout all 4 quarters, but at least give us something entertaining. And on most nights when I'm trying to tune in and watch Scoot play, it's like I'm not even getting that level of interest. So I'm going to go with the Portland Trailblazers as that for that award as most disappointed.
For me, I got to go with Memphis. I got to go with Memphis for the simple fact that, Ja cost himself and his team. This is a Memphis team who we were expecting to take the next level, a young team with Ja and Bane and Triple J, with the addition of Marcus Smart. Like you were looking for this team to potentially turn a corner, especially in a crowded Western Conference. Ja set his team back with his off-court theatrics. Now you have Marcus Smart hurt. You lost Steven Adams for the entire season. So Memphis is taking a step back, man. 6-15 on the campaign. Ja Morant expected to be back soon. I believe in the next week or two. The 25-game suspension should be up. We're at about 21 games, 22 games. So he should be up soon. He should be probably much sooner than that. I got to double check. I think Shams had said maybe this week. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens there. Right now they are 13th. Could they climb up? They're 5 games back of the Pelicans for that 10th spot for the play-in. Still very early. They can certainly make a move, but right now it's 6-15 with the number of guys that are out, including Ja Morant, the head of the snake. I got to go with Memphis, man, as the most frustrating team.
For sure. We got a comment, we got a comment from Miles Brown. Shout out to you for tuning in. He said, Alex, I got to defend my boy Scoot. Point guard is the hardest position to learn. Look at DG in his rookie season. And look, I totally agree. Point guard is one of the toughest positions in the NBA. It's like the quarterback in the NFL. I totally get that. I'm not saying he won't become a good point guard down the road. I think with time, he needs those reps to get there. And we see for a point guard, it takes 4 to 5 seasons. But for what I was expecting this season based on the hype, right? It was like you had Wemby and Scoot. And depending on what draft analyst, and shout out to our guy Corey, he was always a little bit concerned about Scoot. But it was always Wemby and Scoot for the most part. And just with the hype alone, I was looking forward to him just coming in and not necessarily dominating. I knew he was going to struggle, but I wanted to see that electric play that was advertised, and it hasn't been that yet. So that's why I'm going with Portland. I mean, if you want an honorable mention, I'll give you the Pelicans because I think Zion has just been dreadful in some cases where, look, you got mollywopped by the Lakers. That would probably be my number 2. I know you chose Memphis, but New Orleans would be number 2 just because Zion should be, for what he was promoted as, he should be doing much more work than he is now.
True story, man. Rookie. I think Chet's pretty unanimous, right?
It's Chet.
It's
Chet. It's straightforward. It's Chet.
Yeah, pretty straightforward there. I mean, the impact that he's been having on this team, we just talked about it with Rob, not just being the defensive anchor that they've been missing, but now being a guy who, another unicorn type, man, a guy who can put the ball on the floor, bring the ball up, shoot it from 3, get you some rim runs, and with the confidence of a seasoned vet. Love the way that he's coming in, rebounding from an injury, first year. No adjustment seems like it is needed from him, and being a bona fide established number 2 or number 3, depending on how you swap him and Jay Will, but certainly guys that you can rely upon outside of SGA. And it's no surprise why the OKC Thunder are number 2 in the West right now. I mean,
for sure,
maybe that could have easily been another surprise, man, because they look for real right now. So Chet, definitely rookie. Most improved.
I gotta go with Maxey. Rob hit it right on the head. It's Maxey, man, just because you had him as a third option on that Sixers team last season, and you saw the sparks of just sheer brilliance, right? And he was averaging 20 points per game last season, but you didn't get to see the full work of art that you are now, the playmaking, the scoring, the ability to say, it's okay, Embiid, I got you tonight. Like that's different. Like that's a different level. And Rob's right. He's in that sweet spot where it's not necessarily the major leap, like how you saw with Randall, where it's like, oh, this guy is just a role player in the league, struggled for a little bit, and then completely, all-star, all-NBA. Maxey's like right at that sweet spot where it's like he's good, but is he like that number 2 guy good? That guy that can actually help you carry a team? And that's why like the Sixers are so impressive to me. And it's because of how Maxey's been able to play. So I'm giving him the most improved award.
Yo, and Pacer fans have gotten at us in the past, but who cares about them? I'm going with Halliburton.
Wow.
Going with Halliburton. Everybody wants him in the MVP conversation. I understand that he should, but the win-loss record, I think, will hamper him by the time this is all said and done. But if you look at the statistical jump so far, from 20 last year, 20.7 to 26.9, I mean, a 12.1 assist to 2.2 turnovers, right? That's a 6-to-1 ratio. The efficiency numbers, a 63%, 64% effective field goal percentage compared to 59% last year. 58%, 57% from 2 last year to 61 this year. How about 44% from 3 on damn near 9 attempts when he was 40% last year? I mean, the guy is efficiency personified from a playmaker standpoint to a shooting standpoint. And just look at the impact that he's having on his team. I know when you talk about impact, that's MVP level. But as an individual talent, to me, it's another leap. And it's been incredible to watch. The guy is damn near playing flawless basketball. I mean, the 3 turnovers that he had against the Lakers, and talking about it earlier, it made him look like, whoa, what's going on? That's a lot for you right now. That's crazy.
Right. 3 turnovers is a lot. That's crazy to even think about.
3 turnovers for a normal person, normal player. It's like, all right, there's regular. But for Halliburton, it's like, whoa, I just think, man, that this guy's the efficiency numbers on in every facet of his game, it's just incredible. And I'm going there with MIP, man. I'm going there right now with MIP. Halliburton.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the last award? Because I can go all day like talk about Halliburton, but I think like I hear you on that. I'd push back a little bit just because we saw how great he was, as Rob said. Like that's the thing. It's like I knew he was gonna be great. Like it's going from star to superstar at this point because he legit propelled a Pacers team. Like why I go back to the tweet I had. It's Tyrese Halliburton and a bunch of role players. You know what I mean? Like that's what the Pacers are, and they're rolling. They're 12-8 right now, 5th in the Eastern Conference. If the season was to end today, they have a playoff spot, and they would be matched up against the Philadelphia 76ers, who they did defeat in an in-season tournament play. So that matchup could be legit. That matchup could be good if it was to end today, a 7-game series. In my opinion, I would still take the Sixers just because you got Joel Embiid and Maxey. Like I don't see Miles Turner slowing down Embiid for 7 games. That's really where I see the difference. But look, I'm not shocked that Halliburton is this good. I'm not with Wally Zerbiak saying this is a fake all-star. I was like, he's good, man. I was probably a little more hesitant to think of like he's getting a lot of hype for a Pacers team that was fine last year, but the leap is not. It's impressive, but how good he was going to be was always like discussed.
Yeah, and he made an all-star team already. So like I get it. But I mean, if we're looking at these statistical leaps, I got to put him up there. I got to put him up there. How about MVP?
I mean, this is the award where you could put him up there. You know what I mean? This is an award you could put him up there. But just because I think it is really impressive. But if you're looking at like from a win standpoint, like how many you got going, MVP, this is tough. But I'm going to say Luka.
Luka Magic. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just because this man is putting this team on the. I know they got Kyrie Irving, but you look at the rest of that roster, and it is dreadful. Like absolutely dreadful. Like here, let me read something off. Outside of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, Luka averaging 32 points. You have Kyrie averaging 23 points. Your next highest scorer on the team is Tim Hardaway Jr. And this is no shade to Timmy, but to be the 3rd guy, which was always his role, he was overqualified for being a number 2 on the Knicks at his time with KP.
Yeah.
But like to have Timmy, who's not a great defender, he's averaging about 17 points for you. That's a lot of work, man, for this team. They don't necessarily have the best center. With what's his name? I mean, you got Lively there, who's
Powell and Lively.
But Powell. It's Powell that I'm thinking of. Yeah, it's Powell who's like your starting center. Like, that's impressive, man. To keep a team 3rd in the Western Conference, it's a tough conference. So I'm going to give it to Luka right now for the amount of work that he's doing.
You know what, man? I mean, Luka's been very impressive. I agree with you there. I think Embiid can definitely fit this conversation. Halliburton can certainly fit this conversation. But right now, I got to go with the guy who's in the top 3 in points, rebounds, and assists, and number 1 in rebounds. I got to go with the Joker, man. He's 3rd in points, trailing Luka by 13, trailing Giannis by 17, 1st in boards, and he's trailing Halliburton by 6 in assists. Had to take on more of an offensive load when Murray went down. Efficiency numbers have dipped a little bit, but the Joker's still the Joker, man. He's still the Joker. And if you're going to be top three in the league in total points, rebounds, and assists, I mean, how many 30-point triple-doubles did he have already? And he's got Denver still treading water. And I think, as Rob said, I think they are in that kind of championship malaise where they're kind of pacing themselves. You know, they're going through their little ruts early, but they're kind of pacing themselves to get back through another gauntlet in the West and ultimately through the finals. But I got to go with Jokic so far.
I hear you. Let me correct myself. It's Derek Weibel who's the starting center, just so I'm not aggregated and just stuff out here, just or audited, as Rob would say, just for misspeaking. But I hear you on Jokic, man. I hear you. He's truly greatest right now, like for everything that he does, holding it down. He's awesome. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think in the sake of like when you talk about where the team is now, like I know these are quarter season awards. I expect the Nuggets to be up here. At the end of the day, I do expect Jokic to win the award again. I think they're going to, because we all know how it works for these awards, CP. There's a little bit of course correction, just like how they had for Embiid last season, because it's like, oh, we should have given it to the season before, because, you know, when's the next time he's going to win it? And I think they're going to course correct and say, you know, Jokic is the winner this year because of what he did last year, going to the finals, even though it's not really a playoff award, but they're going to look at that, where the Nuggets are. And if they start to turn it up and they get that number 1 placement again in the Western Conference, I could see Jokic getting it. But for right now, what the Mavericks are doing, because this can all come crashing down to earth, especially if Kyrie ever misses time, which, you know, that's totally plausible that he gets injured and misses some time and still comes back. But I think for what Luka's doing right now for the Mavs, just for like having to average 30 points on a nightly basis is no easy feat. And then to control the offense and do the facilitating, and you still have him rebounding too. Like, he's asked to do a lot, and it's kind of LeBron-esque. Whereas like he was when LeBron was on the Cavs, you're asking this guy to be, you know, that entire engine support system, the lifeline for a team. And without them, it just starts crumbling down. That's what I'm going with Luka.
Fair enough. Once again, for you people at home, let us know your quarter season awards. Biggest surprise, most frustrating team, MVP, Rookie of the Year, MIP. What do you guys think? Leave us a comment in the comment section, and we will respond accordingly. Okay, Al, the final segment of the Monday show, our Monday picks, presented by Prize Picks, man. Daily fantasy made easy. Once again, go to prizepicks.com, use promo code MBAR, or use the link in the video description for an instant deposit match of up to $100. How do you play Prize Picks? It's very easy. You're going to pick between 2 to 6 players. You can choose mix and match sports. So obviously we play NBA primarily, but you have 2 Monday Night Football games going on tonight. You can pick on the Monday night docket. You have MMA, you have hockey, you have a bunch of sports that you can mix and match from. 2 to 6 players, and you're going to predict you're going to predict whether or not that player does more or less than a given stat projection that Prize Picks has for a given game. That easy. And you can win up to 25 times your money. So here's where I went on tonight's NBA docket, Al. With no Mitchell Robinson in the middle for the Knicks, and Pascal Siakam has been playing good ball for the Raptors, I think this 21.5 points is a little low. I don't see how the Knicks slow him down if he turns it up in the Garden. I'm going with more than 21.5 points. Again, who do I pick against? Mostly in Prize Picks, the Washington Wizards. Tyrese Maxey, come on down. More than 26.5 points I have for Maxey. I got Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham has been scoring the ball fairly well for Detroit, even though they are a dumpster fire. And who else to get back on track with against the Indiana Pacers, who don't defend and could be coming back off of a in-season tournament little malaise coming back from Vegas. So I got with Cade Cunningham with more than 23.5 points. I think that's an attainable number for him. Also, in this Knicks versus Raptors game without Mitchell Robinson, I think this is going to increase Julius Randle's workload, especially on the boards. I'm going with Julius Randle with more than 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think that's a little bit low for Julius, and especially coming off of 2 bad games against the Milwaukee Bucks and 2 bad losses against the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. I think Julius has a bounce back game here, and I think the 37.5 points, rebounds, and assist number is low. Also, I'm going with Wemby. More than 10.5 rebounds. Spurs taking on the Houston Rockets. Popovich has made a lineup change. He's going with Wemby more at the 5. He's coming off of a damn near 20-point rebounding game. And I think that continues against the Houston Rockets team that is the greatest in that regard. I think Wemby can get those over Sengun and those boys. I'm going with Wemby with more than 10.5 boards. That's what I'm going with tonight, man. How you looking?
Nice. And this is where I'm going tonight for my prize picks, CP. And everyone out there, make sure to download the app and do so and play so responsibly. I'm going back to the love Tyrese Halliburton, man. He's playing the Washington Turnstiles tonight.
Let's go.
I'm going to take him for more than 26.5 points. I think he should be able to do that. I know there's always will be a blowout factor? Will the Stars not have to play that much? Wizards make it interesting. The Wizards make it interesting. I think he will have to play most of the game, and I think he should be able to get more than 26.5 points. I then took Kyle Lowry. I know he's a game time decision tonight, but more than 10.5 points. Look, there's no Tyler Hero. You need somebody to come through and make sure you can help Jimmy Butler and everybody else score and keep the points up there. I'm choosing Kyle Lowry. Then I'm choosing Domantas Sabonis for more than 7.5 assists against Brooklyn. I feel like he will be heavily utilized in that matchup, especially with Nick Claxton, where he's going to be used at the high post, just finding his guys, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, and everybody else to get them in rhythm to score. Then I chose De'Aaron Fox himself to make less, I should say, than 2.5 threes this game. I feel like 3-pointers, it's like he's improved as a 3-point shooter, but something telling me tonight is not that night where he's going to just go off from 3. I'm taking De'Aaron Fox. And then last and not least, no Mitchell Robinson, no worries. Isaiah Hartenstein coming in here with more than 9 rebounds, CP. I'm taking Isaiah Hartenstein. Look, I looked at the per 36. Not necessarily the greatest indicator of how well he will do tonight, but it's 11 rebounds. And he did get double-digit rebounds against the Boston Celtics, going against KP. So I'm going to believe in iHeart again to get more than 9 rebounds tonight as he goes up against Jakob Poeltl and the Toronto Raptors.
There you go. There you go, man. So once again, tap in, go to prizepicks.com, use promo code NBAR for an instant deposit match of up to $100. You can also hit the link in the video description. Play to win, but play responsibly, man. Shout out to our guys at Prize Picks. Al, we do have a call. I was notified by TM. We got a call on the Discord. Let's see if he's still there. Chauncey on the Discord. Are you there? Chauncey on the Discord.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good, man. How you feeling, bro? NBA Report, man. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man. I've been enjoying the show recently. You guys do a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Alex mentioned this earlier. I just wanted to go a little bit more into I think the Pelicans are definitely, they got to be one of the most disappointing teams. And I think it really all stems from this Zion thing going on. I mean, he doesn't look motivated. He's out of shape. And it kind of makes me wonder. He was talking about earlier in the season, he's trying to figure out his role. He's trying to buy in. Do you think he's pulling a little bit of a James Harden here where he's not going to really cooperate with the team? Because I don't think he's still a young guy. He's unproven. I don't think he really has that much of the power to just go and request a trade, but I think he's kind of playing a little chess match.
Yeah. You know what? Certainly possible. You can't rule out anything, but I think for him, for someone who has 0 track record, that's a terrible way to burn your bridge, because he can't stay healthy. He's clearly has weight issues. He's got motor issues. Seems like he's got heart issues, like not physically, but just like emotionally. Like he doesn't have that eye of the tiger, man. He doesn't have it that the greats have. So if I'm an NBA team with 29 other teams, sure, it's appealing to what he could be, but I'd be completely buyer beware. Like I wouldn't want this guy anywhere near the Knicks. I think he would come here and completely flame out. So if that's his way of trying to get out of there, he's setting a bad tone because he has no track record that anybody can rely on to say, you know what? He could be playing chicken here. Let's go get this guy. At least with Harden, say what you will about him and his offensive play style, whatever. I mean, this guy is through history is one of the greatest offensive weapons to ever play the game. Like, he's got that resume. So, you could be a team like the Clippers who are desperate to say, you know what? We'll take a low flyer risk on this guy. Maybe we'll resign and bring him to the new arena. We got George, we got Kawhi, we have established vets. And we'll find a home for him. But with Zion, he doesn't have that type of leeway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's kind of making him. I mean, I don't really know if that's what he's trying to do, force his way out. If it is, it's a really risky tactic to go with.
Yeah.
Just considering the extra weight he's keeping on himself he's already injury prone. It's not going to help his cause. But I don't know. Maybe it's like a change of scenery type of thing where he gets to a new situation, he'll be a little motivated. I mean, this could just be the delusional Knicks fan in me, but
that's okay.
Showing up at the Garden, maybe a motivated Zion will look a little different.
I don't trust it, man. I don't trust it. I think that's a David Griffin fleece waiting to happen. He can't wait to get away from this kid, man, and fleece somebody. Al, what do you think?
I just don't know. He doesn't look bought in, and it kind of. It's a similar situation with Anthony Davis at times. It looks like at certain times when Anthony Davis is playing passive, I don't know if it's a lack of a motor or if it's just he's scared to get injured again.
I think he's scared to get hurt.
My finger on it.
Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate the call, man. Chauncey on the check-in. And for those of you at home, man, hit us up. You hear Chauncey, the call is loud and clear. The NBA Report Discord is where it's at. Chauncey knows the rules. He knows how to get in, man, and get it popping. Join us on the Discord, man. 24-hour NBA chat. That's how we're trying to build this thing up. We're trying to build up the NBA Report group chat, and then you can also call as well. Al, your thoughts on Zion?
No, thank you. But as a Knicks fan, no, thank you. I've had this conversation on Twitter many times. It's like, I do not need somebody who is like, how are you? You're in the NBA, man. I said this on the last show. I think it was on KFTV, or maybe it was here, but you're in the NBA. Very few people have this opportunity to play in this league. It's an honor. You have influence amongst many people. You're looked up to by a lot of kids who play the game. And for you to not be fully invested in, like, we've only seen one season from you where you're fully invested in this team, and we're constantly questioning, is he going to take it seriously? You see the weight issue, as you already pointed out. You now have him, as Chauncey said, not trying to figure out how he fits in, trying to buy into his team. Like, those are all red flags to me as a guy who's still young in his career. No thanks from that standpoint. Like, if I'm any team, like, you have to be, as you said, the Clippers. You have to be desperate. And in my opinion, the Pelicans are also desperate. Look, they should be desperate. They should try to figure out everything possible. I know that they have him in-house and know potentially what all the good and the bads between him as a player are, but they need to show that they're relevant too. Like, it's not too often you go from Anthony Davis now to Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
And I would just say far, far and away. But for him, if you're trying to get out like James Harden is a different situation. He actually has a proven track record of like MVP in Houston, multiple All-Stars. Dude's made the playoffs and was healthy during the playoffs. He showed up short, which has always been the criticism, but at least he made it through. And at one point, he was like one of the most competitive guys out there trying to win. We're talking about a different series when it was him and Chris Paul. If they don't shoot poorly from three that one game,
don't get hurt.
It could be different. We could be talking about a different game. We could talk about a different history for James Harden and Chris Paul, but Zion hasn't even done that. Zion hasn't been consistent enough where it's every single season I could be like, yo, this guy's dominant. This guy's awesome, rebounding, stuff like that. I mean, he didn't even show up against LeBron James in the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
Yo, this is where people were talking about, like, yo, he could be like a LeBron James with his strength, the power, and all this stuff. And instead you were small in that moment. You didn't show up. Like, that's red flags all over the place.
He's
always in the news for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons. So, like I said, it's a buyer beware for me. He's got a lot to prove. But let's see how it plays out, man. All right, man. Great show, Al. It's an action-packed slate. NBA games tonight, man. I'll be looking forward to that. Obviously, I'll be tapped in with Knicks Raptors, but we'll see how it goes in the rest of the league. Great show. We'll be back Wednesday with our guy Andrew Salop, the 1-2 combo. Friday, we'll be doing our Lakers check-in report with Trevor Lane, talking about those in-season tournament champs, man. So that's that. I got to get over to SNY and talk Mitch with my guy Dexter. Al, great show. Gamma, great show. Tyler, great job. Great job. All the mods, TMJJ, everybody who tapped in, my 2 cents as well. Salute to our guest, Rob Perez. Make sure you guys check us out in audio podcast format, all the major podcast platforms. No reason to miss it. And also, remember that the show is presented by Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. Submit your tickets before the 7-10 games tonight. Instant deposit match of up to $100 with code MBAR. Great show again, man. We out of here. Peace.